Good evening. Good evening. I think this must be the largest crowd that we've assembled to celebrate our scholarships and fellowships. This is an event that often was a luncheon in the past, and one of the reasons that we have turned it into a dinner is both because it's a little more festive, but also because it enables so many of our students to come. And I'm particularly delighted this evening to see so many of our students here, and they're seated at tables all across the room. And I wonder if I might begin by just asking our students just to stand up for just a minute so everyone can see who our students are in the room here. Thank you. So the power and the promise. That is the title that we have chosen to designate the campaign that is currently underway to garner additional support for our students through scholarships and fellowships across all of the many programs of the university. And what we mean by that is the power of education and the promise of the future leaders we are educating. And I often reflect on the reality that the students who are here with us today are in so many ways the future of our nation and the future of the world. And I'm just overwhelmingly grateful for the generosity of so many in this room who have made it possible for the students among us this evening to take advantage of everything that George Washington University has to offer. You know, we talk about the fact that we offer a front seat in the theater of history here at the George Washington University. This semester, in the first half of the semester alone, we had 4 cabinet secretaries on campus. We had 2 Supreme Court justices. We had a debate between one former and one aspiring presidential candidate. And, you know, things like this happen all the time. 4 former White House press secretaries interviewed by Frank Sesno, the head of our School of Media and Public Affairs. And at every one of those events, we had students present, not just to listen and to observe, but to have a chance to ask questions directly to these national and international leaders. And that's something that we are always proud to be able to make available to our students, but of course, that's in some ways, it's just a symbol of what it means to be at a university at the heart of the nation's capital that has so many opportunities that it opens to students. The real work here goes on every day in the classroom, in the library, in the laboratory, as students build relations with faculty and with each other that will be the lifelong relationships that will serve them for the rest of their lives as they become part of our lifelong and worldwide community of the George Washington University. And all of that is made possible through the generosity that enables them to come to our university. So to bring home this notion of the power and promise a little bit more concretely, we've prepared a video to show you just right now before dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy the dinner, and right now, please enjoy our video on the power and promise. Thank you.
Pursue higher education. It is because of your scholarship that I'm able to achieve my goal.
I am truly grateful. Your contribution to my education has opened doors for me.
The amount of debt, stress, and hours of work to repay my loans will be hugely decreased due to your donations.
I simply would not be in college in this position without your help.
The university has historically given very generous scholarships, but we realized that we needed to do more. And the Power and Promise Fund was really about going out and reaching out to donors with 2 messages. One is to give back to the institution that really gave so much to you, but also to create that opportunity for somebody else.
So I come from a small family from Baghdad, and after 4 years through the war, we got a specific threat, and that's when we knew we had to go somewhere. And out of nowhere, I'm on a plane, and I'm in Canaan with this great family, but it was kind of a culture shock at first. When I started looking at colleges, I started asking people and asking my friends where would I fit and what would be the best college for me, and 90% of the time they always said GW, you should go to GW. When received the third grade scholarship, it was one of the happiest days of my life. To my family, the scholarship meant hope, and it meant that there is some kind of a future for us. They had no idea what was going to happen to me, but the moment I told them, you don't need to worry about the next 4 years, it was like, you don't need to worry about me anymore, I'm already grown up, and I can take care of myself and hopefully take care of you in the future.
George Washington gave me a full tuition scholarship. When I came to school here, I couldn't afford to go to school. I was one of 5 boys in my family. I was the only one to go to college. I always felt like if there's a way that I could help people the same way the school helped me, then that was one of my missions. I wanted the company to designate a certain amount of net income for charitable giving. And when we were deciding, what to do, I wanted to allocate a significant amount of that to the military.
The whole concept of going back to school as non-traditional after 20 years in the military was very daunting. How am I going to pay for it? Whether I'll be ready to take the textbooks again, and GW was there to fill that gap for me.
We had a dinner that the business school here actually sponsored for us, where we got to meet all the recipients. And it was a very emotional event, because a lot of these people had just come back or are going back over soon.
It was quite an opportunity to thank him personally. But instead, it was Brian and his executives who were thanking us.
It's hard to say what I get out of it, because it's really more of what I get into it. It's the reward I feel that I'm helping somebody out. And
I can't imagine my life without having done this. Everything I've accomplished professionally, everything I've been able to do in my life since graduation, wouldn't have been there without that scholarship. The scholarship for me is transformative. I think the opportunity to meet the students that receive our scholarship is, to me, the best reward you could ever get for setting it up.
Takes you back to when you were in college and you were taking those classes where you felt like you had the whole world filled with opportunity. And you have part in it. It's just this terrific.
They made everything possible for me, and I really owe them all my experience here, which I'm with all my heart, so great. Thank you.
It's been a terrific experience for us. I mean, really something that has touched us in a way that we never would have expected. It feels great. It really good. And I hope that we can inspire others to do the same.
The reason I want to meet Mr. Becky is at least just to shake his hand and say thank you, but there are so many things that I want to say to him. If a kid would be able to give to someone they don't even know, just based on the story, I think if more and more people would do that, I think the world would definitely be a better place.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your dinner. Our program will resume after dessert. W Theater and Dance at the Columbian College. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us celebrate a very special birthday for Marion Werner, a longtime friend of GW, and the Department of Theater and Dance at the Columbian College.
Happy birthday to you. Everyone sing. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Marion. Happy birthday birthday to you.
Exec for Academic Affairs, and A. James Clark Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering, Dr. Stephen Lerman.
Well, thank you, and again, I add my welcome to all of you. I've actually been at GW only the last 9 months, and in that time, I've had the wonderful opportunity to learn about a place that is truly amazing in many ways. One of the great pleasures I've had is to go to various places and talk about power and promise and explain what's happening at GW and why the support of those of you out there who are donors is just so crucial to our institution, and how it makes possible an education for students who would find it extraordinarily difficult to be here at our marvelous university. I thought I'd tell you a little bit about some of the things that are happening. And one of the faculty who I met very early when I arrived here 9 months ago has said something that just stuck in my mind, and is happening right now at George Washington University, at this time in the university's history, for reasons that are complicated and somewhat fortuitous, somewhat the result of great skill in the leadership of the university, and somewhat the result of the fantastic support that the alumni have given. But let me tell you about some of the things that have happened just in the last 9 months. We've recruited the university's first Nobel laureate to our faculty. We are committed to building the largest single capital project we've done ever in the form of a new science and engineering building that will bring together. This building will bring together students, faculty, and staff in the sciences and engineering in a truly interdisciplinary environment. It's where teaching will happen, it's where research will happen, where new ideas, new inventions will happen, and it will be the premier such facility in the District of Columbia. It'll sit right near the Foggy Bottom metro station in the heart of our campus, and will be a showplace for the university and its faculty and students. Sure, go ahead. We've finished a complete renovation of the Smith Athletic Center. Those of you who are regulars, and one of the things my wife and I did the first week we got here is we bought season tickets to basketball games, so I get to see some of you who come. And it's a spectacularly good facility that brings together our student body and our student athletes and helps build a sense of community in the GW population. About financial. The total financial aid commitment for our undergraduate students this year was a record. It was about $148 million that we committed to fund our students to make it possible to come to George Washington University. It is our aspiration that every student who is qualified to come here and who we admit here should be able to come here independent of the financial circumstances. That's a lofty goal. I think it's one that speaks to the role the university has in making opportunities available to the absolute best and brightest students. It's a goal, of course, that we need help with. And those of you who have committed resources to the Power and Promise Fund are very much part of us reaching that aspirational goal. Let me talk about the caliber of students we've attracted here. First of all, active class of freshmen we have ever admitted. We've had more applications last year than any year before, and then this year, the freshman class we're now in the process of admitting, the rising freshmen, our applications to our university group. About 75% of them are in the top 10% of their classes. Equally important, they reflect a commitment to service, service to their communities, service to their country, service to the world. Counting graduate students, we have approximately 500 student veterans amongst our student population, an extraordinary number that reflects our commitment. GW was recognized as one of the top producers of Fulbright scholars in 2010, 2011. Actually, Fulbright was, in fact, a GW alumnus of the law school. We ranked 5th amongst schools, and the only other schools that were ahead of us in producing Fulbright scholars were Harvard, Berkeley, Columbia, and Stanford. Good company. But our students' contributions aren't only in the academic and research domain. They give tremendous service to the Washington area and to the nation and, in fact, the world. GW medical students opened a new student-run clinic in southeast Washington's Anacostia neighborhood in an effort to meet more of the need that is in this medically underserved community. There were so many students who volunteered to be in this, we actually had to have a lottery to see who would be given the opportunity to volunteer their time at this clinic. And only about 100 of our medical students are actually selected to work in the 2 different sites. And our support runs very deep. Our alumni are more active than they have ever been. The GW Alumni Association continues to flourish. We've drawn more than 2,200 alumni to campus last year, and we've expanded the regional clubs by 50%. It's this combination. When I said something special, or when I quoted a faculty member who said something special is happening in GW, what's really happened is what I think of as the virtuous cycle. Great alumni contribute to the luster of the school and contribute resources to bring great students here. The great faculty want to work with those students, and the great students want to come where there is a great faculty. And so GW is in this wonderful position to move forward. I'm incredibly honored to be here as a member of this community. The excitement that runs through everything that happens every day is almost palpable. And we are poised to make the next great steps in moving the university forward. I really can't thank those of you who have contributed to Power and Promise enough for your contributions. The lifeblood of the university, as I've said, ultimately is the student. And those students really need the types of support that you who've donated to the Power and Promise Fund have given it. Countless of our students, a story they heard over and over and over again. You saw some of it on these videos. Countless students, generations of them, couldn't have come here without your support. I'd like to acknowledge some recent donors. Now, first, many donors are not acknowledged in the program as those who have recently endowed scholarships and fellowships. And we have donors to 2 of these no funds with us today. And I'd actually like to call them up to the podium. Ambassador Philip and Mrs. Barbara Kaplan are 2 of our newly established donors for scholarships. And if I could ask you to come, I sat with them. And I'd also like, the second of our donors is David Karlgaard, Dr. David Karlgaard, and his wife Marilyn. I believe Marilyn couldn't be with us today, but David, could you come on up? And if I could ask President Knapp to join us. So we're going to provide some pins. I have to go get the one I've left. Do you have extras? No, I just have one. Okay, breach.
Just like being pinned in a sorority.
So why don't we start? This is
Sure, if you don't mind. Sure, you go ahead.
Piercing the cloth. This one's you. We're not going to try to pin it on there. We will turn around. So it's now my great honor to introduce one of our donors as our next speaker. David Karlgaard was the co-founder of PEC Solutions, which is a government information technology and service company that was later acquired actually by Nortel Government Solutions. Dr. Karlgaard's career as a technology entrepreneur exemplifies the success that comes by the combination of deep knowledge of engineering principles with business skill. After working as an electrical engineer at various U.S. government research laboratories and as a vice president of Computer Sciences Corporation, my notes here. Dr. Karlgaard and his two partners co-founded PEC Solutions. He earned his Doctor of Science in Computer Science from the GW School of Engineering and Applied Science in 1974. He serves as a trustee of the George Washington University and is a member of the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences National Advisory Council. He and his wife support the Karlgaard Scholarship and the Karlgaard Scholarship in Computer Engineering in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. And on a more personal note, one of the people I met very early on in my arrival here, in his role as a trustee, was Dr. Karlgaard, and he was one of the most welcoming and people for me. It's difficult to come into a new Board of Trustees meeting, and I want to say on a personal level, he was one of the individuals who made that transition easy for me. So please.
Well, thank you, Provost Lerman. It's a pleasure to be here tonight for a whole variety of reasons. But the most important reason is I get to answer a question that was posed to me about a year ago by Mike Morseberger, who's, by the way, celebrating his one-year anniversary leading this great effort here at the university. And I met him 51 weeks ago, I remember that. And he asked me a very important question. He asked me, why did I donate my time and my resources to GW? Well, my children accused me of not really being very fast, kind of slow actually, and so I didn't really give a very good answer to that question. And so tonight I get a chance to answer that after a little thought. In fact, to prove how slow I really am, I've actually taken 45 years to develop this answer. I first was a student here back in the late 60s and early 70s in the engineering school, and it was a turning point in my life, as many of the graduates here will also attest to. But then I also, while working full-time, I was on the adjunct faculty of the School of Engineering for about 10 years. And then when I was out in the working world as an entrepreneur, I hired probably 1,000 George Washington students or more, all of which were very good employees for our various companies. I was also an adjunct faculty member in the School of Business for about 10 years. And I've been on the National Advisory Council for about 10 years. And now on the Board of Trustees. So somebody once accused me of, over these 45 years, learning a lot about GW and the history. I say that's wrong. I lived a major part of GW history. Okay. So I thought a lot about this question, and I thought I would just poll all my friends to get their reasons. Well, they both gave me the same reason. That's a very old joke, but it still is good. So while I was here, over those 45 years, I learned a lot about GW and the students and the faculty and the administration, the facilities. Everything has been improving dramatically over those years. And I can say with great conviction tonight, I'm very proud to be a GW graduate. So my son is an aerospace engineering scholar, doctorate actually, and so I like to use analogies from the space era somewhat. So I'm going to bore you with a little bit of that tonight. But I view GW as the launching pad to my career. I think many of you will agree to that same thing, that this has been the solid foundation that gives us the ability to pursue our careers. And with this solid foundation as a launching pad, we can each choose our own professional orbits that we aspire to. And in fact, GW has many, many, many orbits to choose from, and each student here, I think, has their own personal orbit that they're striving for in all the fields that you know about here at GW that are so broad: medicine, law, engineering, business, the arts and sciences, international studies, education, public health, professional studies, and nursing. And within each of those, there's a special orbit for each person. But whatever speed, altitude, or direction that you choose as your orbit, just remember that GW has allowed our orbits to be faster, higher, and straighter. So why do my two friends and I donate our time and resources to GW? First, we express thanks to GW for being the enabler of our careers. I've heard story on story of how important GW has been for so many people that graduated from here. And clearly, we need to thank the university for that. And by donating time and resources to the school, we do that. Second, I think we recognize the importance of education, both in our personal lives and for the future of our country and for the world. That education is the answer to so many problems in the world today. And the best way to get a good start on all those social problems in our world is to improve our education throughout the world. Third, we know we can get great leverage from the IRS by making donations here. And so I thought about that a little bit, and what I realized what that means to me personally is because of that great leverage, we can donate more, and probably more than we had ever thought we would in our earlier lives, because of the power of the tax laws. So, good reason. Fourth, we know that GW gets stronger and better each year due to the active involvement of alumni and other benefactors. But those reasons all pale compared to what the most important reason is. The most important reason is for the benefit of the students. The students here tonight are on their own launching pad, just like many of us were in past years. Our resources to the Power and Promise campaign provide a significant component of thrust to help our students achieve their desired orbits. Our time and our energy, together with faculty and academic advisors, provide the guidance system to help these students achieve their desired orbits. And we also develop a generational bond that I find very, very powerful, because the donations and the time not only help the students, but give us as donors the satisfaction of knowing that we've helped these students achieve their objectives. Now, Marilyn and I have funded many scholarships over the years, some here and some at other institutions, and we affectionately call these students Karlgaard Scholars. Our two children, though, are quick to point out that they were the first two Karlgaard Scholars. Now, I remind them often that as part of their scholarship, they have a commitment. And their commitment is that after they finish school, they have to support their father in any classes he wants to take for the rest of his life at GW. So I asked them, aren't you worried about this great unfunded liability? Well, my daughter is pretty fast. She's not like her father. She says she's not worried because she knows the admission requirements here at GW are getting higher and higher every year. And our son confidently says he knows the current GW students are very smart and very hardworking, and even if Dad gets in, he's just not going to make the grade. Now, he's very politically correct. He could have said he'll fail out, but not making the grade I thought was pretty nice of him to say that. But in spite of all this respect that my children show us, we are very proud of their educational accomplishments. We're very proud of their careers. We're very proud of their personal lives. And we're just thankful that everything has gone well for them. So the reason I tell you about this commitment that our children have to me, their father, is I want to remind the current scholars here tonight, the students, that you too have liabilities associated with your scholarships. You have the responsibility to do well in your studies, to graduate, demonstrate your great potential, and then go out in the real world and represent GW very positively and strongly, excel in your chosen orbit, and make everybody here proud of your accomplishments. And lastly, as you celebrate your success in future years, just remember your launching pad here at GW. To the donors here tonight, thank you for your generosity, and we hope we're all back here many years in the future to celebrate this wonderful evening. And to the students, we wish you the best in your studies and your career, and with the great promise that you've shown, we hope to someday see you back here as donors sometime to give to the next generation. So that's my comments for this evening. And again, I'll repeat one thing that I said earlier, that after 45 years of living GW history, I'm proud to be a graduate. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And the aerospace metaphors weren't lost, but I should point out, in defense, since I'm a civil engineer by background, it started with a foundation. Okay, just make sure that civil engineering got in there somewhere. Of course, there are two parts to the power and promise equation. There is, of course, the generosity of donors and the students who receive those fellowships and scholarships that are so critically important to their education. So I thought it would be appropriate to introduce our next speaker, Nawa Arsala. She's a sophomore in the Elliott School of International Affairs, and she's studying international affairs and Islam. She's a native of Fairfax, Virginia, and is the founder and president of the GW Afghan Student Association. Nawa is recipient of the Cora and John H. Davis Scholarship Fund. So please, come on up.
Good evening. My name is Nawa Arsala. I'm a sophomore at the George Washington University. I'm a first-generation American. I'm president of GW's Afghan Student Association, and I'm a scholarship recipient. Education is important to all of us. However, in my opinion, education to an Afghan girl is far more sacred. Not too long ago, the Taliban were the ruling regime in Afghanistan. They enacted many deplorable laws, such as banning kite flying and music. However, one which particularly moved me was making it illegal for Afghan girls to attend school. This mandate was and continues to be the driving force behind my desire to attend the George Washington University and to graduate the top of my class, and this would have not been possible without the scholarships that all of you present here tonight have donated. Thankfully, I'm here in America. Both of my parents come from prominent Afghan families, but when we first moved to the United States, my family's lineage of doctors, ambassadors, and dignitaries did not mean very much. My parents went from having several homes across their country to struggling to stay afloat with rent payments to their apartment, juggling several part-time jobs, and enduring a true lack of respect from all those who they encountered. My father, the son of the King's doctor and a law student, became a cab driver. He worked seemingly endless shifts to provide for my well-being and never relented. In between his cab shifts, he studied, and his intense appreciation for the value of education was not lost in me. In our home, nothing came before my schoolwork, and nothing was more important than my education. When it came time to apply for college, I knew that GW was the only school for me. I applied early decision. On my 18th birthday, I got my acceptance letter. I was ecstatic. However, I was terrified that my dream would be shattered if my family could not fund my attendance. A few months later, I received news that I was awarded the Cora and John H. Davis Scholarship, and with gratitude for this gift of education, I have never looked back. My first 2 years at GW have been busy to say the least. In addition to my studies, I am president of the Afghan Student Association, and our sole purpose as an organization is to do our small part to build back our country. Every winter, we hold a clothing drive where we send clothes to the poorest of provinces. We collect school supplies every semester from students and professors and others in the GW community, and we send those to schools across Afghanistan. It's sometimes when I'm in class and I look through my bag, I have so many pens and pencils, and I remember that in my country, and sometimes in one classroom, there could be 30 students, and each student have to share one pen. We hold cultural events that highlight the splendor of our culture, and we donate 100% of these funds to orphanages in Afghanistan. When I graduate from GW, I hope to pursue law school and work to impact the lives of children of war in my country. Although I know there are many challenges in Afghanistan, I know by the tools and skills that I've gained at GW, I will hopefully be successful. I'm standing before you tonight because my parents understood the value of an education and passed along these lessons to me. I'm also here tonight because of the gifts of scholarships. Even though they're not in attendance tonight, I would like to say thank you to Cora and John H. David Foundation. It is because of the generosity of donors like you that I remain confident will be able to make an impact. I can assure you that I intend to give back to the university, as I have experienced firsthand the amazing impact student aid has. Without your support, I would not be here at GW to organize these school supply drives every semester for the little girl that lives countless miles away, whom honestly could have been me. So on behalf of that nameless little girl and myself, thank you. But before I go say goodnight to you all, I would like to congratulate my father, whose studies in between his cab shifts were not made in vain. He will be joining me as a fellow colonial next fall to pursue his third master's degree. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to thank all of you for taking your time to attend this, and certainly those of you who have generously supported George Washington University's Power and Promise Fund. I'd like to thank all our speakers, of course, and President Knapp, and I welcome you to continue enjoying coffee and dessert for those of you who haven't quite finished it yet. Quick just note, if you haven't yet had your portrait taken, you might want to stop by the photography area set up in the lobby where we have a photographer, and he can take your picture as you depart. And then last, wish you all a good night, and once again, thank you for supporting George Washington University.